Yo, what's going on? Welcome back to another episode of Between the Number Sports Podcast and Show. I'm your host, and we're going to be talking about how Brian Kelly and his coaching staff has this LSU team trending upwards, heading into, the offseason, right? So first, I'm just going to do a bowl recap. So I'm pretty sure no one watching this or who's an LSU fan lives under a rock, but as you would know, LSU defeated Baylor in a pretty entertaining game, 44-31 in Texas. And so I just want to do a recap of that game. So just some things that I wrote down. I have my notes right here. And so first off, we want to start with Nuss, right? So Nuss, to me, in that game, reminded me of the Nuss that we saw in the first 6 games of the season. You know, showing you his arm strength, showing you that he can throw the ball accurately off platform. There was a play where he scrambled out of the pocket and he was like going. It was crazy. Like he backpedaled and he launched it down the sideline to I think was that Aaron Anderson. I think that was Aaron Anderson that caught the ball. So he demonstrated that. He demonstrated the arm strength. He demonstrated how he was effective, efficient. He had one pick. I don't think he saw the linebacker or the DN that dropped into coverage. I don't think he saw him. It happens, but um, he still had an interception. So he's definitely gonna have to clean that up in offseason with his decision making. But I thought this was the old Nussmeier that we saw in the first 6 games of the season. And, if we can get that Nussmeier at the beginning of next season, and if he can play consistently all the way through the season, look out. That's all I'm going to say. Next, I want to highlight Trudez Green. So, if anyone was paying attention, if you bet, I do a little bit of betting. I didn't bet on LSU, but I do a little bit of betting. They had initially LSU was the underdog to Baylor. And I was kind of like scratching my head, like, why would LSU be the underdog to Baylor? But then as I done more research, it was because, you had 3 starters that wasn't playing. You had both of your tackles that wasn't playing. Will Campbell and Emery, they wasn't playing, right? And then Kyron Lacey, because all 3 of those Kyron Lacey, both tackles, and Mason Taylor, right? 4 starters that wasn't playing, and that's a lot of offensive firepower. Uh, you know, that wasn't playing. Obviously, that let's be honest, this bowl game doesn't mean much for guys with a high draft stock, right? And so although you can set goals with a bowl game, right? For LSU, they was able to get their 9th win of the season, so you can hang your hats on that. Also, under Brian Kelly, LSU is 3-0. Wish I can say the same about us starting fast in the first game of the season, but yes, under Brian Kelly, LSU is 3-0. So I think they was looking at it as like, okay, there's 4 starters on offense that is those are very good starters. Those are NFL caliber players, starters. And so I think that's why they was giving Baylor the edge. Also because Dave Aranda, who's the former defensive coordinator LSU in the 2019 national championship season. Hey, I love Dave Aranda. He's a hell of a defensive coordinator and coach. But you know, on obviously on that day I wasn't rooting for Dave Aranda, but I think they thought that was going to be a factor because they probably was factoring that Dave Aranda's defense was going to be well coached and going to be a tough defense. And I have no doubts that their defense is pretty tough. It's just LSU is a different caliber, have a different caliber of athletes on that team. So I think that's why they was giving Baylor the edge. But yeah, Trudez Green, man, although he's a true freshman, he was the number 1 rated tight end in all of America. And so, even though Mason Teller was that dude, I didn't think that we would have a problem at the tight end position just because Mason Teller was like, hey, I'm heading to the NFL. And I love Mason Teller, but I'm just saying LSU is in good hands, moving forward with Trudez Green. And we also have the transfer from Oklahoma that's coming in. So LSU is going to be in good hands at tight end for a long time to come. Trudez Green was able to finish with 2 touchdowns, so that was exciting. Next, I wanted to highlight Chris Hilton Jr. Chris Hilton Jr. was just way, way, way too fast for Baylor. There was that first touchdown he had. The cornerback was playing soft. He was playing at least 4 or 5 yards off the ball. And cornerbacks will do that if they know that they're lining up versus a very fast wide receiver. They'll give themselves some cushion. But Chris Hilton is so fast that he's able to eat up the cushion. And next thing you know, he's on your hips. Now you're turning the run upfield and he's running past you, right? Chris Hilton is really fast. And it just gives you a lot of hope, a lot of motivation, and then also just a lot of what I'm pretty sure Brian Kelly thought he was going to be getting um, for this season, because Chris Hilton was projected to be a huge contributor to this LSU team at the beginning of the season, but he got hurt. He had the bone bruise, and it kept him off the field. And then he had issues where when he was getting into the game, he was jumping too fast, leaving his feet, and everyone saw that that clip of Brian Kelly yelling at him on the sideline saying that he's uncoachable. But I think that Chris Hilton Jr. has really turned it around. He came on. He showed us he showed his big playability in the game where he had 2 touchdowns, right? And then obviously in this bowl game. So you know this wide receiver room is going to be led next season by Aaron Anderson and Chris Hilton Jr. They're the homegrown talent, and they're going to be the two guys that's going to be, leading this wide receivers room. A really, really good, talented wide receiver room with the freshmen that's coming in, with the guys that's coming out of the transfer portal, and with the guys that's going to be coming back next season. It's a really, really, I would say, a top 10 wide receiver room in all of college football, and probably the top wide receiver room in all of the SEC. And so I'm happy about Chris Hilton Jr. Just hope that he can, stay healthy, and you know, put it all on the field next year for LSU. But definitely, I think Chris Hilton Jr. If he stays healthy, he's going to play himself into a top, probably a first round draft pick at wide receiver. Next, I want to talk about Xavier Thomas and the special teams, right? So Xavier Thomas is another guy who's going to contribute in that wide receiver room next year. But Xavier Thomas had that kickoff return for a touchdown. It didn't even look like he was running very fast. I don't know if the Baylor defenders gave up, but it didn't even look like he was running very fast. It's very refreshing to see that LSU has a playmaker back on special teams that can get you at any time, whether you punt to him or as a kick return. And then he also can get you in a receiving game, right? He lines up as a wide receiver. You can put him in the backfield as a running back. So Xavier Thomas is a Swiss Army knife. He's a multi-tool. He's a weapon. As long as you use him accordingly, he can burn you from anywhere on the field. And so I'm looking forward to that. The kicker, he had some issues. I think he missed 2 kicks, but I think that overall, Xavier Thomas and the special teams deserve some kudos because that kick return really kind of turned it around. Turned it up for LSU a little bit more. And when you're gonna have harder games, or I'm not, well, I shouldn't say harder games, but when you're playing in SEC and against SEC opponents, when you have a threat like Xavier Thomas back there that can break it open and score, then that's gonna put even more stress on the opposing team to game plan for that effect. Um, then I want to move over to the defensive side of the ball. So Will Weeks, I hope praying that he makes a speedy recovery. I seen that he broke his fibula. I think his fibula. I'm not even saying the word right. He broke the bone. He broke a bone in his leg, his fibula. If I'm saying it right, I don't know what's going on with me. But yeah, you saw it on the field. It didn't look good. Shout out to the Baylor player from coming over, putting a hand on his shoulder pads and praying. And that was kudos to him. Good sportsmanship. But Will Weeks is definitely one of the leaders on that defense. And you hate to see a guy that plays with so much compassion and fire go down like that. But you know hopefully he's able to return next season at the start of the season and be a full go. I know that I seen that he had a surgery here a few days ago, and it says that he's on the road to a speedy recovery. So, we're going to continue to pray for Will Weeks. Can't wait to see him back in the purple and gold. And then I want to talk about I think it's Devon Keys. Devon Keys, right? The true freshman out of Texas, Louisiana native, got his first start, had the pick six, right? That's what you just like to see, man. You just like to see playmakers at the linebacker position that can go sideline to sideline, and that can also drop in coverage and not be a liability in coverage. And this is just a very positive thing for LSU. On top of that, Harold Perkins said that he's coming back, and we all know Harold Perkins can do it all. He can rush the passer, he can line up in a slot and take wide receivers and tight ends down the field, and he also can drop back into coverage. So got a very talented linebacker room. Um, and so the sky's the limit for this linebacker room. And honestly, for this defense, you're getting some very, very good, talented guys coming in, right? You're getting some transfer guys coming in at the cornerback position. You got some talented true freshmen coming in, and DJ Pickens, right? And a few other talented true freshmen. You still got PJ Woodland there, and a few other guys that's going to be in the mix. But if I would have to say anything, I would say that LSU definitely probably needs to get in the transfer portal and try to get a safety, because every time I looked up Baylor's wide receivers, especially number 34, was behind our coverage. And so good thing that that quarterback was, overthrowing them, or not able to sync up with him, with those wide receivers for whatever reason. But if he was able to, it probably would have been a very closer game for LSU, a very uncomfortable game for LSU if that was the case. So that, we definitely got to get some safety help back there on the back end of that defense. And also, I well, so that's the bowl game, but I seen a statement from Brian Kelly where he was asked a question by a reporter, and he said that he pretty much was going to be evaluating, the coaching staff, and if there's one person on the coaching staff who I think is in trouble of being demoted or losing his job, it would be Joe Sloan. Brian Kelly kind of ran Mike Denbrock out of town back to Notre Dame. Some people said, he wanted to be closer to his family. But, other people say that Brian Kelly asked him to share, the offensive coordinator role with Joe Long, and Mike Denbrock didn't like that, so he left. But I think, kudos to Brian Kelly for giving Joe Sloan a shot, but I think you got to get somebody else in there calling the plays. Being offensive coordinator, Joe Sloan can definitely go back to being a quarterbacks coach, because I know that's Nussmeier's guy. But I definitely think Brian Kelly needs to try to hire someone else, and he's probably waiting until the college football playoffs and the national championship is over with to try to get somebody off another team that's still in contention, right? Or but I definitely think that that's the only guy that I can think about who's probably on the bubble for being demoted or losing his job altogether, because this, you know, y'all have to think LSU's offense was on a heater, and then it just kind of fell off a cliff. And some of the play calling is just kind of like wonky. There was a play even in that bowl game where it was like 3rd and 7, and LSU ran the ball on 3rd and 7 with Cave Durham, and we didn't get it. And then we had to go for it on 4th down, and obviously we got it because they made the throw to Tradez Green. But why are we running the ball on 3rd and 7? If we know we're going for it on 4th down, I guess, okay, yeah, you running for it on 3rd. You're saying it's a 4th down territory, but come on, man. It's just a microcosm of what they're thinking. Because if you wasn't going for it on 4th down, right? If you felt they have to feel confident that they can pick up the 1st down, if they went for it on 4th down. But let's say that it's versus a team, an SEC team in a hostile environment, right? And it's 3rd and 7. Why are you running the ball? That makes no sense. I don't know. I just think the play calling can be a lot better. But hey, we have to see. But that's the only coach that I think is on the bubble. And it was very interesting to hear Brian Kelly say that he was going to continue to kind of analyze the coaching staff. But yeah, Brian Kelly and his coaching staff definitely has LSU trending in the right direction. Again, we have to see, it's going to be a long off season. It's going to be training camp and spring practices and all that stuff. So we got to make sure, we got to hope that guys stay healthy and all of those things. Guys don't transfer out and all of that good stuff. But I'm just going to take the wait and see approach. I was very high on LSU going into the season versus USC, and we lost another season opener. Not to be a Debbie Downer, but I'm just going to take the wait and see approach. But like I said, LSU definitely is trending in the right direction. If you take a look at the transfer portal class, right, LSU has been um, tabbed as having the best transfer portal class in college football. Um, Hopefully, it turns out the way how Ohio State's transfer class has turned out, right? They said LSU, Ohio State paid $20 million in NIL money, and look at the product on the field. Yeah, they lost to Michigan, but they're killing people. They're killing people in the playoffs, man. They're gonna stomp Texas. You seen what they did to Oregon, right? They're gonna stomp Texas. They're probably gonna win a national championship. If I had to bet money, I would bet on Ohio State. But hopefully, this transfer portal class turns into Ohio State versus it turning into Ole Miss. Because Ole Miss had a very good transfer portal class too, and they lost 3 games. So, all right, I'm gonna stop running my mouth. But hey, appreciate everyone showing love, showing support on the channel. Uh, Please leave a like, please leave a comment and subscribe. Um, Leaving a like and leaving a comment helps this channel be discovered in the algorithm, and obviously subscribing helps the channel grow. And if you subscribe, hit that bell notification button so you can stay up to date on all of the latest drops from here on this channel. All right. But yeah, oh yeah, let me know in the comment section what y'all thought about the bowl game, and let me know how y'all feel about LSU heading into the 2025 season. Until next time, I'm out.